Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Voice to the Voiceless. My name is Bronwyn Franklin and I am your host today. I hope you're enjoying this beautiful spring day. I hope you are gathering all the tools that you need to move forward as we go into um, the window down into April. What I want to talk about today is ageism. I want to talk about ageism and the effects that it has on people. We talk about isms. We're always talking about racism. We talk about sexism. We talk about capitalism, sexism. We talk about communism, Buddhism. We talk about all these isms. Isms is a noun that represents a belief system or ideology or practice or some sort of doctrine. It can also be referred to as like a style or manner or some sort of condition or characteristics. Belief systems such as socialism, communism, Buddhism, and all they all end in isms. Those are Pacific systems. And then you have practices such as criticism, plagiarism, heroism. These are actions or practices. Then you have conditions, alcoholism, skepticism. Um, those are conditions of characteristics or states of being. Then you have impressionism, which is an artistic form. And then we have our negative stereotypes, racism, sexism, ageism. They often are used to describe negative attitudes and biases against certain groups. When we use it in a negative form as a stereotype, it causes separation. It causes labeling. It causes a bit of levels of anxiety and depression. So when we use words like ageism, we never think of the impact of ageism and what that really means. And so I was what started me on this was I was doing a training, and it was a majority of women, and the majority of the women were of a certain ethnicity. Most of them were Black women, and we were doing a training, and we had an elder in the group. And when we were talking about trauma, the elder talked about their experience in the moment with ageism. Being that she was an elder, well into her 70s or 80s, I don't know, I don't ask. She talked about how lonely, how ostracized, how neglected and abandoned, and so many other things that she was feeling. And ageism is definitely a stereotype. And a stereotype is how we think. A prejudice is how we feel. And discrimination is how we act towards others. Ageism is on both ends of a spectrum. And what I mean by that is young people experience a certain labeling, prejudice, and stereotyping, as well as our seniors experience those type of same things. You have to almost be in your 30s, 40s, and 50s to be in the middle of this spectrum. Things that come along with ageism, and you tell me which end of the spectrum you think they're on. Some examples include losing your job because of your age, being refused interest-free credit, being refused a new credit card. How does it affect your insurance rate? How does it reflect the quality of service you receive in shops and restaurants? There are three types of ageism: institutional, interpersonal, and internalized. And institutional ageism occurs when institutions or policy discriminate based on age, such as when we were talking about car insurance and credit cards and interest free. Um, some of those, if you're on that spectrum of being a youth, you're affected. If you're in an age category of 60s, 70s, and 80s, you're affected. Jobs, you can't get certain jobs, or you're excluded from certain jobs. Then you have the interpersonal ageism. It happens in social interactions between individuals. When you see the young kid walk into the store with his backpack and you ask him to leave it at the door, you automatically have judged that he steals because other kids steal. All kids don't steal. When you see a young person walking down the street, and you cross over or you duck into somewhere because of fear, you've already judged this person that you don't know, because the society has told us that young people can be violent, young people will assault you, young people do these type of crimes, which is not everybody. Then on the other end of that spectrum, we have our older people who are older. They don't know anything. They're in the way. They're clumsy. They fall. Whatever you come up with, or whatever society comes up with, when we label and we judge older people, that's interpersonal. That's what interpersonal. And then internalized ageism refers to the individual and how we internalize the negative societal attitudes about aging and we apply them to ourselves. It sucks. It sucks to be labeled and judged. So, again, think about the laws, the policies, and the practices within organizations that discriminate against individuals or groups based on age. Yes, some places favor younger candidates for the promotion when overlooking the qualified older employee who has the experience, who has the knowledge. We have come a long way. We have made the mistakes. We are more than qualified, but we are passed over. And then there's those levels again of prejudice, attitudes, stereotypes, and discriminatory behavior expressed in our society. When we make comments again about our younger people being thugs and hoodlums, juvenile delinquents, or our older generation as dried up, useless old folks, when in fact, they're our elders. They have so much wisdom and knowledge to impart on us if we take the time and listen. And then we take and we internalize that. And then we start to believe we're no longer capable of learning new things and that we should be treated with pity, and and sometimes disrespect or disregard. I think as we move deeper into this subject, our country has labeled and categorized so many people and caused so much harm. I we as a society must stop devaluing individuals based on their age. We as a society should take the time and get to know people. Ageism or discrimination and prejudice based on age significantly impacts mental health, particularly in our elders, in our our seasoned population. They've enjoyed the spring of their youth. They enjoy the summer of their 30s. And they've lived in the fall of their 50s. So they have experienced the seasons of life on the cycle. This type of disregard and prejudice exacerbates the symptoms of mental health conditions. It increases stress, and it lowers the psychological well-being of the person. And we wonder why heart attacks and strokes are happening in people's in their 50s, because now they're stressed out. Now, not only are they stressed out about their bills, they're worried about keeping their jobs because they've reached a certain age, and they wondering how they're going to fund their kids' college fund, or how they're going to pay their mortgage, if they're going to have a job. So heart attacks are happening Monday mornings when people are in their 50s and 60s. Our overall psychological well-being is affected. We start to feel more isolated, lonely. People are challenged. Two of the populations with the most suicide rate is our teenagers and our elders. Two of the groups that are struggling the most with identity. Where do I fit in? What is my purpose? I have reached a place in my life where I recognize that I am at a place where I fight harder. I have 5 strikes against me. I am a woman. I am Black. I have a mental health challenge. I have a felony background. And now I've crossed over into being an elder. I've crossed over into that. And all of that is telling me I have no place. With all the stigma that's wrapped around it, I have no place. I have no purpose. We're looking at a state of elders who have depression and anxiety, who are isolated, who are feeling useless. They don't recognize where their purpose is at. Their self-esteem is gone. And and they don't want to be a burden to anyone. And they isolate more. And they ruminate more. They withdraw more. And sometimes they move into that area of having suicide ideations. And sometimes intention. And sometimes completion. The impact of this self-perception definitely leads to self-assessment, negative self-assessment. Again, affecting our self-worth as human beings. When I was growing up, my grandmothers switched to a role of, they continued in the role of caretakers, but then they became the caretakers for the younger children. other people's children, and it gave them life. It gave them strength. It gave them meaning and purpose. And my grandmother, one lived to be 89. My great grandmother was 93, and her daughter was 92. They found purpose in meeting. Ageism can also manifest in healthcare when older people receive less attention, less support, and less appropriate treatment for their physical and their mental health needs. Um, I want to look at ageism and the suicide rate. Okay, wow. Well, the older adult is population. We got 16.8% of our population in the United States is older adults. So they make up 22% of the suicides. In 2022, among the nearly 49,000 suicides that took place in the US, 10,000 of those were people over the age of 65. Wow. Wow. That's a fourth. That's a fourth of the population. That's a fourth of the population. What do we do with that number? That's pretty sad. People age 85 and older had the highest rate of suicides in that time frame. How do we how do we support our seniors? What are ways to support our seniors, our elders? How do we do it? The ways we can support our seniors involve a range of actions. Help them with the daily tasks. Just being present, providing emotional and social support, just being around, offering assistance, helping with shopping, cooking, or cleaning, helping them get around, offering rides to appointments and errands, making sure their homes are safe, helping them put up bars, widening doors, things that's going to help prevent the falls, helping with technology. Many of us are struggling because they got all these apps, they got all these things, and no one has instructed us on how to use it. So I sit there and figure it out. And it's frustrating. It's mind boggling. Check in regularly. A phone call, a friendly phone call, 30 minutes. We are also plugged into technology and the movement of time and going through the time. Everything is in a rush, 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 rush. Everybody is suffering from ADD at the moment because everything is quick, 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 quick. Our brains don't function on that level. Spend 30 minutes on a phone call, 15 minutes to help combat the loneliness and provide that sense of connection. Find a hobby, do a puzzle together, crochet, knit, take a walk. Again, providing companionship and reducing isolation. Listen and validate their feelings. Create a safe space for them to share their thoughts and emotions. And don't be dismissive. There's a wealth of knowledge there. Help connect them to community centers and clubs to help their social life and their well-being. Help them find a place of volunteer. Volunteer some time. Or you volunteer some time. I just was encouraging a young lady who was feeling lonely, disconnected. I encouraged her to go volunteer at the senior citizen building. Sit with the senior. Read a book. Do a puzzle. The connection. If you're feeling it, they're feeling it 10 times. We got to advocate for better policies and rights for our elderly to help them have access to resources and services. Promote age-friendly communities. Help build that. Put in the time, put in the work to help create an environment that's welcoming and accessible for everybody. Most importantly, respect and understand. Listen to their experience and their wisdom. Valuing their experience and perspective can strengthen our relationship and foster a sense of respect. Be patient and understanding. Aging can bring new challenges, so remember, patience and understanding can help alleviate distress and improve communication. Slow it down. Slow it down. And embrace their independence. While offering support, it's important to respect their autonomy and allow them to make decisions about their own lives. We want to do everything for them, but not allow them to do things for themselves. Do it with them, not for them. Do it with them, not for them. Think about it. That could be you one day. Think about where you've been and how it felt when you were that young kid and being judged. Think about one day you'll be that elder. Think about how you want to be treated and where you want to go. And with that, I give you all I have. And with that being said, I hope you have a good day.